Thank you for listening to this bonus episode of Art Heals All Wounds. What's your best memory from childhood? For me, one of the best is snuggling up in the crook of my mother's arm as she read to me. Her voice was always so animated as she read, always giving just the right inflection for each moment of the story. When I think about this memory, this might be why I love to read so much today. I've started recording artists for season 2, which will begin in February of 2022. In the meantime, I wanted to give you a holiday gift by sharing episode 1 of a podcast where the host, Shantre Pinkney, reads aloud excerpts from her book in progress, Raw, Black, and Blue. Her podcast is called The Red Lounge, with red being spelled R-E-A-D. Shantre has an amazing voice, and hearing her read aloud immediately made me want to get cozy with a cup of tea while I listened. Shantre will be a guest on Art Heals All Wounds Season 2, where she'll talk about her book and her work in film and photojournalism. In the meantime, please sit back and enjoy episode 1 of The Red Lounge.
Welcome to The Red Lounge, folks. Thanks for joining me. My name is Shantre, and I'm your host. I started this podcast because I wanted to hear just different stories and short stories. Starting with this podcast, I wanted to start with a story of my own. And initially, it started as a short film, a short thesis film. The short film was called The Raw, and it was based around this young man that was working in San Francisco, working with a crisis response team. And it's a real team in that city. Well, first living in Baby Hunters Point, it was a challenge because, I wasn't used to hearing gunshots every night. And the scary thing was that it was normalized. It became normal, and that bothered me. So I started to write, the script about this young man, and kind of based it on some of the folks that I had met during my time and living there and working in the district. And I made the film, and I've always wanted to do a feature of it, and was starting to write it, but it didn't really feel right. Like there's something was missing. Something was not really clicking. And I put it off for years. Some of you writers out there can relate. But then I started picking it back up. But instead of focusing on a male point of view, I wanted to focus on a female point of view, on a Black woman point of view. And that's where Raw, Black, Blue came about. Well, I started from the backstory, trying to get an idea of who this character would be, who she is, what she likes, what she doesn't like, what she's afraid of. Just every bit of her backstory, the private areas, things that she doesn't want people to know, things that are public that people do know about her. Just getting into that rawness, of her. And I named her Tamia Randall. And I thought it'd be really helpful, and just the flow in my gift of writing and storytelling, and build that up more by sharing who she is, her backstory. And I started writing these things like how she would write, or like her journals, or what she would say. I thought it'd be a cool idea to share like these mini chapters, in a sense, of Tamia, the people that she's engaging with, how she interacts with others, and even her love life. So we're gonna get into it, and I introduce to you the first two chapters of Raw, Black, and Blue, written from Tamia's perspective. First up is Missing Coins, and then following you will hear Up to Here. Missing coins. When I got my first period, my mom was at work and I couldn't get a hold of her. I was like 11, I think. My father, he was working down at the PG&E plant, supposedly, and I needed money to go to the drugstore. There was this dip, down to the park, the Indian Basin on the way there. My dad used to hide these dollar coins, these shiny dollar coins, way back when I was little. Only he knew where to hide them. It would be like an Easter egg hunt. I completely forgot about him. Well, I went back there, and in between these rocks, underneath layer of moss with 3 coins, I found like $5 later that day. I couldn't find my father, though. Up to Here. It's been 3 weeks since my last panic attack. That's not too bad. My chest tightens up ever so often, but it could have been worse. I told my mom my progress, but she had a fit. Granted, getting a bill from the hospital is cause for concern, but she just yelled at me to do better at taking care of myself. For my mom's sake, I really wish I could snap my fingers and that part of my life would never happen. But progress is progress, right? The campus nurse said that the attack was maybe caused by a trigger, a sound, or a brushing up against somebody accidentally. I don't know. I was with my study partner, and he was helping me on a computer, but I hovered over way too long. Maybe that was it. I needed space, and the crowded lab with all these other anxious students must have set it off. The county, they referred me to a woman, and I felt a weight lift off me when I found out she's Black. Her name is Dr. Edwards. She's exactly how I pictured her. A beautiful crown of coiled locks pulled up in a bun. Dark, smooth complexion. She's direct and to the point and tell me to rest my mind by any means. Perhaps even take the semester off. And I told her I'd consider it, but in all honesty, I'd rather avoid that. I'm too close to finishing. Just thinking about waiting 6 months makes me twitch. So Dr. Edwards suggested I follow her assignment for the next 12 weeks. Here we go. So, number 1, journal about anything. Number 2, remember your breaths. Number 3, take it easy. God, how do I do that? Next time on The Red Lounge, Raw, Black, and Blue continues with episode 2, The Lamentations of Mr. Sims. Hey folks, thanks for joining me. If you have someone in mind that you think will really enjoy this content, share it with them. I'd love to hear your comments too. So you can find The Red Lounge. That's The Red, READ Lounge, everywhere you find your podcast. Until then, I'll see you next time.
I hope you enjoyed hearing Shantre Pinkney read excerpts from her upcoming book, Raw, Black, and Blue, on her podcast, The Red Lounge. If you want to hear more, you can find The Red Lounge on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also hear more about Shantre and her work on Season 2 of Art Heals All Wounds. While you're here, I want to invite you to join up for the Art Heals All Wounds newsletter. Just go to the website, arthealsallwoundspodcast.com, and sign up. That's arthealsallwoundspodcast.com. You'll hear about upcoming episodes and other information about and from the guests on the podcast. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying Art Heals All Wounds, let us know by giving us a 5-star rating and even a review if you feel inspired.